Pranesh, thanks indeed. Viewers, it's one of those days. It's one of those days, those sensitive days, those days when it's very difficult to hold a program without upsetting anyone. Viewers, I don't want to sound alarmist. I don't want to whip up passions. I don't want to paint a dire scenario. But I'm very concerned. And so should you be. Because in Bengal, the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has implied, and pay attention, I'm only saying implied, for a second time in about 100 hours, that there are minority-dominated areas in Bengal where ordinarily Hindu processions shouldn't pass for the fear of upsetting the peace. Viewers, the latest statement from her came today in the context of fresh and perhaps escalating tensions in Bengal, in particular in Hooghly. Hooghly has been particularly fraught all through the day. There has been some amount of strife, some of it, of course, being whipped up by the Bharatiya Janata Party that wants to go into Hooghly, but they were stopped. Here, viewers, a Hindu procession that had been given permission by the local administration passed a masjid in an area where minorities outnumber Hindus. As the procession organized by the BJP passed the mosque, it was pelted by stones. The BJP Shobha Yatra was organized on the back of Ram Navami celebrations. And viewers, ordinarily, there should have been a lot of security put in place. Law and order is a state subject. If permission was given, then the administration should have ensured that because there is really one main thoroughfare and the procession was going to pass through or go past a mosque from where there have been other incidents, viewers, not in this particular place, but in other states over the last week of Ram Navami processions or other processions being targeted by stone pelters, the state government should have taken this into account. Of course, there are other areas in Bengal which also witnessed some amount of strife on Ram Navami. But first, listen to Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of Bengal today. Listen into this.
আর বিজেপির আমলে দেখছি দাঙ্গাবাজি, রোজার মাস চলছে, রমজান মাস চলছে, অন্নপূর্ণা পূজা চলছে। কেন বাবু রামনবমীর মিছিল 5 দিন হবে কেন? রামনবমী যেদিন হয় সেদিন তোমরা মিছিল করো, আমাদের কারো আপত্তি নেই, কিন্তু বন্দুক নিয়ে মিছিল করবে না, বোমা নিয়ে মিছিল করবে না। মিছিল করছে পারমিশন না দেওয়া সত্ত্বেও, এত রাস্তা থাকতেও ঢুকে যাচ্ছে মাইনরিটি অঞ্চলে জেনে শুনে, এবং সেখানে গিয়ে দেখেছেন আপনারা ফলের গাড়ি, রমজান মাসে তারা ফল কিনে খায়, ফলের গাড়িগুলো জ্বালিয়ে দিয়েছে, বন্দুক নিয়ে ডান্স করছে। আমি বললাম বন্দুক নিয়ে ডান্স করছো, কালকে রিসরাতেও মিছিল করার পরে করেছে। আর একটা দিন আমি অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনকে সতর্ক করব, 6 তারিখটাও মনে রাখবেন আমাদের ছেলে মেয়েরাও। 6 তারিখটা আমরা বজরংবলীকে সবাই সম্মান করি, কিন্তু ওরা যেন দাঙ্গার নামে আবার কোনো প্ল্যান করতে না পারে, এটা মাথায় রেখে দেবেন। সারা ভারতবর্ষে করছে, সবাই ধর্ম যার যার নিজের উৎসব সবার আনন্দ করুন। 6 তারিখটা আমি হিন্দু ভাই বোনেদের দায়িত্ব দিয়ে রাখবো, রমজান চলছে, মুসলিমদের ওপর যাতে কোনো অত্যাচার না হয়, হিন্দু ভাই বোনেরা গ্রামে গ্রামে জেলায় জেলায় ওদের প্রোটেক্ট করবেন, ওদের ভালো করে রক্ষা করবেন। ওরা মাইনরিটি, ওরা যেন আমাদের কাছ থেকে বিচার পায়।
Now, viewers, there are, of course, many individuals who are a little upset because some feel that Mamata Banerjee has already picked a side. Others, viewers, are saying that the use of words like minority area, etc., goes against really the spirit of our secular constitution. Viewers, there is nothing called a minority or a majority dominated area in this country. This kind of talk, viewers, unfortunately belongs to a different time. A time when India saw partition. And there were segregationists then, viewers, who talked in these terms. I'm not trying to compare Mamata Banerjee with any of those individuals. But viewers, let me tell you, these remarks could get misinterpreted by certain reactionaries on the ground who are pushing this ghettoization. They want certain enclaves only be reserved for them. I am reminded, viewers, of what Manu Gandhi had once said. Manu Gandhi had once said, and Manu Gandhi is, of course, one of Mahatma Gandhi's close aides. And in unpublished letters that appeared in the Open magazine, and in diary entries from the 14th and 15th of August of 1947, she recounts this conversation that she heard, that she was witness to. And let me just recount this. Then I stepped for an hour after the morning meal. Thereafter, I listened to Bapu's talk with Suharwardi about measures to be adopted to re-establish amity. Now, viewers, Suharwardi was a despicable character, a divisive character. He was somebody who governed Bengal as its third governor, viewers. And he often referred to areas that were dominated by one community and the other. And let me take you back. She writes, she says, we held a public prayer today. After the prayer, I requested the people who had gathered around the house to keep quiet and leave. They asked, why is Suharwardi not here? We would leave only after he comes. Bapuji then, that is Mahatma Gandhi, came out and explained that Suharwardi had observed Rosa and he was taking his meal and was expected thereafter. Just then, Manu Gandhi recalls that Suharwardi makes an appearance. And he spoke to the people gathered and he said, and I quote, let us all put behind what has happened. It is a good fortune that a great man like Mahatma Ji is among us in Bengal. How long shall we continue to fight? All of us want peace. We wish to demonstrate that Hindus and Muslims can live together amicably. If the Hindus of this area were to provide a guarantee that they would not kill the Muslims, we would certainly go next to Park Circus to Zakaria Street, unquote. Now, viewers, Hindus of this area, Muslims living on Zakaria Street, you get what I'm trying to say here. This man, viewers, exposes his mindset, where he sees Kolkata of those days as two distinct cities, divided into Hindu-Muslim enclaves. Now, viewers, we don't want to go back there again. And those politicians who talk about Hindu and Muslim areas need to pay close attention to the Madras High Court, that in order shot down this type of divisive talk. It set the record straight. When certain Muslim groups moved court to deny Hindus the right to pass through what they called a Muslim-dominated area of Perambalur of Tamil Nadu, the court said, and I quote it, intolerance of a particular religious group is exhibited by objecting for the procession through areas that is dominated by Muslims. India is a secular country, and merely because one religious group is living in majority in a particular area, it cannot be a reason for not allowing other religious festivals or processions through that area, unquote. Obviously, viewers, Mamata's appeal, one community, putting the onus on one community and remonstrating with the public, saying that, oh, a procession or processionists deliberately passed through Muslim areas. I can show you that soundbite and that quote, viewers, and excerpts of that quote will appear on your screens, has upset many people. The BJP seeing clear pattern of appeasement, which they allege has always been the refuge of the TMC. Pulling no punches, the BJP slammed the TMC, left, right and center for siding with one community and festival. And of course, the TMC responded, blaming the BJP for fomenting unrest to score political brownie points with their voters. Here is that exchange.
देखिए साफ है, जो देखिए आप वीडियो चल रहा है उसमें लुंगी या टोपी में ही लोग अटैक कर रहे हैं। जो झंडा लिए हुए भगवा झंडा दूर खड़े हैं या तो भाग रहे, निहत्थे थे, निशस्त्र उत्सव में आए थे लोग, उनको भगाया जा रहा है। और केवल मस्जिद के सामने से ही, मस्जिद पाड़ा से ही अटैक होता है बार बार। मैं बीच में खड़ा था, मेरे आंखों के सामने सब कुछ हुआ, किस प्रकार डर के लोग भाग रहे थे, बच्चे महिलाएं। बहुत बड़ा हादसा होने वाला था और बार बार जगह जगह हो रहा है। सरकार को सब मालूम होते हुए भी हो रहा है। क्यों सरकार व्यवस्था नहीं लेती है? और उसी हिंदुओं का ऊपर, हिंदू जब इकट्ठा हो रहे थे प्रतिरोध करने के लिए, उन्हीं के ऊपर टीयर गैस फेंक रहा था पुलिस, उनको भगाया जा रहा था। जहां से आक्रमण हो रहा था वहां जाने की हिम्मत नहीं रहती हो।
Because we think that after the results of Shaburdigi election, the minorities of West Bengal have realized that TMC and Mamata Banerjee have only used them.
हर समय हिंदू को बहुत सताते हैं। उनको मालूम है कि हमारी मुस्लिम वोट कंसोलिडेट हो जाएगा तो हमारी कोई चिंता नहीं है। इसका एक्चुअल जांच होना है तो एनआईए कर सकते हैं।
It is very unfortunate that the union government at the center during its regime, we have seen escalation of communal riots all over the country.
The BJP should first answer why every year since 2016, every year whenever BJP is coming out with Ram Navami procession along with RSS counterparts, why they are coming out with huge amount of weapons?
State BJP president, the state BJP, some leaders of BJP, they are trying to provoke the situation and create untoward incidents. You see, in the time of Holy Ramzan, that time BJP violating the norms, violating the routes, they are taking entry in the particular areas and with revolver, with swords, with provocative slogans, they are trying to damage the unity of the particular area.
Viewers, let's ask some basic questions this evening. Let's open this conversation up. Let's pose some questions that need to be posed in the national interest. We are on a very slippery wicket in Bengal, viewers. Tensions are running high. Certain politicians are talking about areas dominated by one community. The other side, that is the BJP, is going out there and alleging that one side is being given a clean chit, and therefore, viewers, you have a growing sense of despondency amongst communities. And that's leading to a lot of fractious clash and invective. And I want to first begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan tonight, and Shikha Mukherjee, a journalist who's with us, Tehseen Poonawala, and there's, of course, Shishir Bajoria of the BJP, and Muhammad Zishan, a political analyst. Let me first begin with you, Shikha Mukherjee. You're a journalist who has covered Bengal for years altogether. We've read your work. Now, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that politicians anywhere in the country, and I'm not just talking about the Chief Minister of Bengal here, anywhere in the country should be talking about a particular area dominated by a particular community and therefore out of bounds for others. We live in a secular country, and as I have just read out the Madras High Court's order, it clearly says that we must have open access. And I want you to explain, where is Mamata Banerjee coming from when she says what she says? When she talks about an attempt being made to go into areas that are dominated by one particular community. What is she trying to say? I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Ms.
You
Mukherjee.
can't hear me? No, I don't think I'm on mute.
Now you are unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, two things. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
What Mamata Banerjee says is Mamata Banerjee's business and the TMC's business. How I analyze it is my business.
Right. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. So having said that, let me point out two things. One, the Madras High Court is absolutely correct in saying that as a secular country, as it is written in the Constitution, we should not have these so-called ghettos of majorities and minorities. And these are ghettos that we are talking about. On the other hand, there is the reality of India where there are ghettos. And these ghettos seem to be getting even more closed up, as it were. And in the situation that we have in West Bengal as of now, when there have been 3 days of tension, communal clashes, tension, etc. Not clashes, but there has been an attack. And there have been three days of it. If Mamata Banerjee is making a statement, then she is well within her rights as the chief minister to make the statement. On the other hand, the fault that I find with Mamata Banerjee's statement is as follows. Mamata Banerjee, instead of making a unilateral statement, had an absolute responsibility, A, to ensure that her police force intervention was a little more effective, one. Two, that as the chief minister of the state and as a responsible political leader, it was imperative for her to call an all-party meeting, a meeting with the heads of the communities which seem to be in conflict or there is a tension between them, and go ahead and resolve it through the democratic process. Not having done that, I think, is a fault, it is a mistake, it is a it's grievously irresponsible. And why am I saying it? Because if you look at, say, for instance, in Parliament, parties clash, parties with different ideologies clash.
Absolutely.
They clash on very, very sensitive issues. But does it mean that the Speaker of the House or that the political parties don't sit together and try and resolve the problem? Because Parliament has to function. The state has to function. And let me just point out here that yes, there are ghettos. There are majority ghettos and there are minority ghettos. But in Bengal, there is the other thing, which is that within these ghettos, other members of other minorities do reside, and they reside peacefully and without violence. They're safe in these ghettos. So therefore, it is imperative that the political leadership of all political parties restore what is normal in the social life of Bengal.
Okay, perhaps the one thing that has been left unsaid is that in apportioning blame wholly to one side, you're only going to create a further dissonance. And that's really problematic. I agree with you, Shikha Mukherjee, on the first 2 points, but I don't fundamentally agree with you on this concept of ghettos and, that there should, well, of course, there might be a few here and there, but we must all work towards making those less of a ghetto. Dr. Ranganathan, I'm sure you'll agree with me. The only way to allow for people to intermingle is to make it very clear that there is no enclave. Otherwise, we'll end up where we were a few decades back in Kashmir. And we have all suffered. We have seen, I have personally suffered. I have seen the results of ghettoization.
Good evening, Rahul. You're absolutely right. In fact, I was going to say this, that I think the time has come for all of us to completely reject this cushioning of the administration being lackadaisical and not acting when it should. and then cushioning the crimes by saying her police should have been a little bit more active. What do you mean by little bit more? There are people who are ethnically cleansed as we speak from places in India. Muslim areas, quote unquote, as Rahul, you said, is a reality. But this is sanctioned through religion. We might like to deny it and say, oh, no, no, don't talk like that. I'm sorry. I'm a Darwinian atheist. I'm detached from religion. Maybe that's the reason why I can talk about it dispassionately. You've seen what Dr. Ambedkar said about Dar al-Harb and Darul Islam. These are realities of life. When you talk about Muslim areas in Bengal, as you just now mentioned, what about the Muslim area in the Kashmir Valley? It's been ethnically cleansed. Can Kashmiri Pandits return there? They're being killed if they do. So let's just face the reality. And there are 3 points I'd like to make. Number one, you talked about the Muslim area. I would like to ask Ms. Mamata Banerjee, where was her vocal dissatisfaction, if I can use a very polite word, of saying that citizens should not act like this, when lakhs poured onto the streets in Howrah and other places in Bengal in the context of Nupur Tiwari, saying hang her, sar tan se juda. Nupur Sharma, I beg your pardon. Where was all that condemnation? The condemnation seems to be reserved only for Hindus, saying that you dare not venture into Muslim areas. And honestly, stop blaming the Hindus by saying they provoke the Muslims by making their religious processions through, quote unquote, as I said, Muslim areas or near mosques. The essence of Azan, which is, quote, there is no God but Allah, and no one has the right to be worshipped but Allah 4062, unquote, amplified through the loudspeaker 5 times a day, whole year round, near a temple, is not provocative. But celebrating Ram Navami and singing Bhajman Ramcharan Sukhdai 1 day in a year near a mosque is? Kisko ullu bana rahe hum log? Provocation, by the way, is subjective. Only violent people are provoked into violence. Is this not action and reaction that you were saying, rebuking Narendra Modi when he didn't even say it? Now you are talking about action and reaction and talking of provocation. The very existence of a kafir is provocative. 98:6, 929, 456, 978, 2198, 470, and 100 other verses. So we should cease to exist. To be sure, we actually would. As Rabindranath Tagore said, and I quote, Islam has distinct enmity against all other religions. It is not just satisfied with observing its own religion, but is determined to destroy all other religions. And the only way to make peace with it is to embrace it, unquote. You don't seem to grasp what Gurudev did a century ago, that this is a clash of civilizations. But I ask you, was Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore a Sanghi? I'm sure today all you people would have called him a Sanghi.
Well, Dr. Ranganathan, look, you talked about action, reaction. Let me tell you that it's all very selective in this country. Just recently, a Supreme Court justice almost implied that. Yeah. And in the course of an exchange with the ASG, and I was shocked when I heard that. I was absolutely shocked because, you know, there was this talk about there's a vicious cycle. There is also the law, viewers, and if someone is aggrieved, go invoke the law. Mr. Muhammad Zishan, you can't start pelting stones. You have a problem. You know, I must say that when people had a problem, for example, in Tamil Nadu, and I quoted an example of Perambalur, they went to the court. They said, look, we have an enclave, we live here, we don't want anyone to pass through. They left it to they didn't stand there and start sort of, you know, going berserk. So, Mr. Zishan, I don't think on 2 aspects one can be ambiguous at all. Number one, that Mamata Banerjee knew that there are problems, there could be problems, and as Ms. Mukherjee said, failed in anticipating them or in somehow ensuring that peace would prevail. Now, why? That's the fundamental question. And some people will tell me that it's because of vote banks. And then, of course, there is a larger problem. And that problem is that in your post-mortem of it, you take a position. Now, Mr. Zishan, I want to ask you this. Should Mamata Banerjee, even before the probe is underway, sit here and pronounce guilt and suggest that the BJP and, you know, all its allied whatevers have done this? There's video evidence that speaks to the contrary.
Mr. Rahul Shivshankar, I would like to inform you as well as all the panelists on this channel, on this show, that Ram Navami is celebrated in Bengal throughout every area, not only in Howrah. Howrah was an exceptional case, and you must know that in Howrah, the processions did not follow the authorized route. The police gives permission mentioning the authorized route from where the processions and rallies must pass. Don't you think, Rahul Shivshankar, the organizers of the procession, the organizers of the Ram Navami rallies, they should follow the law and order and follow the specific or authorized routes?
How do you know? One second, Mr. Zishan, instead of licking the crumbs that are thrown. No, excuse me. Instead of licking the crumbs that are thrown by one particular party, excuse me, and thrown to you. No, excuse me. By lapping them up. No, one second. Mr. Mohammed Zishan, please listen to me. We can't speak over each other. It's a very serious issue. And then, you know, things get not heard. And then you go after anchors. So don't blame me. If you slip in something communal and which people won't like. So just take it easy. Let's speak over one after the other, not over each other, and not at each other. I only asked you a question. Don't make this personal. Don't make this personal. I have nothing against you, sir.
No, this is not personal.
You definitely are making it. So I don't want to go there with you on this. So let me just ask you very simply. Fair enough. All these Hindu processionists, the BJP chaps, they're all out to wreck the peace. Now, if it's such a well-known thing, then A, why didn't you provide security? You say there were people with guns. That's what the TMC has been saying. Arrest them. Who told you not to? They should have been picked up, thrown into jail. Much before. Law and order, as I said, is a state subject. If you can't do it, if you find that the heat is too much in the kitchen, then leave the kitchen. Leave it to somebody else. Maybe the center. I don't know. So, Mr. Zishan, let's ask the more fundamental questions here. I didn't ask you this question. I was only riffing off what Ms. Mukherjee said. And she's not some, you know, Modi Bhakt sitting here either. So I'm asking you, Mr. Mohammed Zishan, at the end of the day, there was intelligence input, you claim. There was the fear of someone provoking and inciting all these bad people that you say. So, where was the security? Why wasn't it there?
Now please allow me, give me enough time to answer.
Please, go ahead.
I was telling the same thing only. It's not only Howrah. Ram Navami procession took place in different areas of West Bengal. And in everywhere, nothing went wrong except in few areas, because I want to let you know that in Howrah, they did not maintain the authorized routes. Police were there, security were there. You must also know that an incident also occurred in park circles, but police was successful, administration was successful to stop that breach of peace. But in Howrah, we could find that there were many processions without any permission in which pistols and guns were carried. Our National General Secretary, Abhishek Banerjee of Trinamool Congress, has also presented that video in the press conference. Now, I would like to ask the BJP panelists on the screen, have their leaders demanded at least for once to arrest them?
Mr. Zishan, very quickly, let me bring in Shishir Bajoria of the BJP. Okay. Now, if I were to go by your analogy, then if there is just one riot in a BJP ruled state, then we should exempt them. After all, it was just one. There are hundreds of other incidents that pass off peacefully, but one happened, so it's okay. I mean, come on. Let's not wear your biases on your sleeve. Let me bring in Mr. Bajoria. Let me ask Mr. Bajoria this question. Mr. Bajoria, let me ask you this today. And there is a message that Dr. Ranganathan is holding up. He's saying that no one deviated from the procession. Ram Navami, Shobha Yatra's organizers, and I can tell you, viewers, that permission was given for the Shobha Yatra in Hooghly. We have the document. I have it right here in my phone. It was sent by Tamal to me.
Permission to carry swords and sticks.
Sir, I am only telling you.
Earlier he was saying there was no permission. Now then he was saying they deviated from the route. Now he's saying they were carrying swords.
Leading a procession of people carrying swords.
Sir, there are a large number of political parties, as you know, for example, in Punjab, where the state administration allows certain people from certain denominations to carry arms.
After the incident
one second, Mr. Nishan.
Can I come in?
Why weren't these, okay, fair enough, these people pop up with all these swords. Why weren't they confiscated? Why wasn't the permission immediately cancelled? Why were these people not halted and dispersed? Mr.
31
Zishan,
people have been arrested in case of Havra incident.
my dear friend,
31
that
people.
all
Till
happened
now,
after the incident.
investigation is
Why
going on.
did not the state government stall the yatra if it was breaching the
Then
rules?
people like Shishir Babu,
Mr.
people like Shishir
Zishan,
Babu
if
will
this
stand
had
up
happened in
and
a
say
BJP
that
ruled
Hindus
state,
are
you would have
not
been
allowed to
crucifying the chief
celebrate
minister there.
festivals.
So let's not
Hindus are not
today
allowed
make.
to celebrate their festivals, then
Let's
BJP
not,
will
please.
start that drama.
Can I come in?
Please,
Need
Mr.
to
Zishan. No,
understand,
Mr.
Mr.
Bajoria, I'm going to ask you this question. There are visuals, enough of them, of your party men and others carrying weapons and things like that. What were they doing with weapons? Why carry weapons? Was
Okay,
there permission
let me-
for carrying weapons? Did you take permission?
Rahul,
I'm asking you this question. Please answer.
yes, I'm replying your question very clearly. First of all, let's be very clear. We took permission for the procession. The routes were earmarked. The police sat with the organizers, not once, on many occasions, and the routes were followed as per permission. If not, the police would have stopped us. Number two, the weapons. I'm coming to weapons, Rahulji. I'm coming to weapons. Weapons. The great All India General Secretary of a state party, he tweeted this photograph. Why doesn't he say where was this? Why doesn't he say who's this person? Identify what was the police doing? And third, I'm going to ask the Trinamool person who's sitting as a political analyst.
No. 1 second. Shishir Bajoria, just stop there. Stop there. 1 second. Stop there. No, Mr. Bajoria, 1 second. Let me just come in. Let me come in. If I'm understanding you right, you are suggesting that these processions were infiltrated by unidentified individuals with guns.
Yes, sir.
No, hang on.
I'm
Then why didn't
identifying.
you stop? Excuse me. Why didn't you stop the procession? Address the police and say, look, there are some people we don't recognize. They're walking around with guns or other weapons. Please apprehend them. Here they are.
Rahulji, I'm identifying Ajit Singh Rajput. Who is he? He is on Facebook. He's identified as Didi Surakha Kavach. 2, he is the closest person to the local MP.
Why
3,
wasn't it handed over by
we have
your
handed
party
the
men
photograph.
to the police? Tell
We
me.
have handed the photograph. You know what happened?
Not the
when we go to
photograph, the
police?
individual.
Cannot. We are fighting a battle of life and death. Please understand. You know, when the stones were pelted, our karyakartas, our bhakt ran into a police station. You know what they find? In the police station, even the cops were hiding because they were also being stoned. This is minority appeasement. And you know who's responsible? There's only one person responsible. That's our chief minister. As you have said in the opening remarks, look after the minorities. And she is the one who said, Jai Shri Ram is an abuse for me. Jai Shri Ram is abuse for me. She has said it. She is the only person. And in this palpable... I'll
One
give you
second. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan here. Dr. Ranganathan, does that absolve?
Just one point. Let
One
me
second.
Make, please. One point let me make. Why did she choose Ram Navami as the day of a dharna against the central government? That's a question which somebody has to answer. The central government she chose was against the policies of central government. आप कभी कर सकते थे. You choose Ram Navami,
Okay.
and you know that things are going wrong.
Okay.
Dharna started from 29th of March.
Okay,
And on
20.
that the same day, Shubhendu Adhikari and Sukanto Majumdar, your
Okay,
leaders
1
also gave
second.
dharna in Shambhala.
Mr. Zishan, 1 second, please.
You
1
must know
second.
this.
Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan here. Dr. Ranganathan, very quickly, what do you make of this exchange between a TMC supporter and the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson?
But I'm afraid we are missing the woods for the trees here. Because who are we kidding? There is a fantastic revealing thread by the handle True Indology about Ram Navami processions. They've been attacked by Muslims for 300 years. This is not yesterday's thing or day before yesterday's or last year's. I'm sorry. As I said, this is a clash of civilizations. Why do we refuse to agree to this simple thing? I repeat, would Mr. Zishan say that Rabindranath Tagore is a bigot? These are facts I've laid out on the table. Why are we disagreeing on this? We are, I'll tell you why.
Rahul, I'd like
because
to
we are
comment on
ostriches.
Because
we are ostriches. We are
ostriches.
experts in virtue signaling.
Tehseen
We
Poonawala,
could even
virtue
brand
signaling.
Ambedkar and Tagore as bigots.
Okay, now hang on.
That's what we'll do.
Let me bring in it. Let me bring in Tehseen Poonawala, who hasn't spoken. Mr. Poonawala, I don't know if you're representing today the Congress point of view or not, but let me ask you this question. A year ago, before the assembly elections in Bengal, it's very easy you see, today to sit in judgment of the BJP and Mr. Bajoria and his party men. But let me ask you, wasn't it true that the Congress party was in alliance with the left that was joined at the hip in a declared alliance with a sectarian Muslim outfit that didn't have bona fides that deserved to be endorsed in the manner that you did? And if that was an appeasement of a Muslim sentiment, then what was? And therefore, is today the BJP right that it is arrayed against a number of parties that play to a particular gallery, the minority gallery? It's a very simple question. I don't think you were in favor of that alliance with the STF, ISF or whatever it was called. I don't think you were. So you tell me, is the BJP wrong today when it says that in Bengal, it is the Muslim vote that counts more than anything else? And let me give you the numbers. Hindus and Muslims voted for TMC in different proportions. The BJP, for example, when it came to the votes that it got from the Hindu community, 57% in 2019, 50% in 2021. And the TMC, the Muslims voted for the TMC 70% plus, 75% plus. This is CSDS Lokniti information. Is that what's driving the comments that Mamata Banerjee makes, the Congress's picks with who it allies, the left's pick with who it allies? Very simple question.
Thank you, Rahul, finally for getting me in. And I concur with what you said. It was a terrible alliance that the Congress did. I was personally against it. And the Congress and the great people of West Bengal taught the Congress and left a lesson. They gave them 0 seats. That shows that the Muslims who voted for Mamataji were not in favor of this rabid person who the left was in an alliance with. But let me ask you a question. And my full form for the BJP is Bharat Jalao Party. And I'll tell you why.
Hang on. Tehseen Poonawala, you're skipping.
Sir, allow me.
No, one second. Forget the Bharat Jalao. I'm sorry. You can't share a stage in 2 states, in Assam and in Bengal, as in you, as in the Congress party and the so-called secular forces with sectarian parties, and lecture the country on BJP's rabidness. Sorry.
No,
that's being a bit rich.
I'll tell you why.
That's being hypocritical and rich.
That's not being hypocritical.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Let me also remind you, in Punjab, you pull out a chap. Let me tell you, you pull out a chap called Sidhu Moosewala. Hang on, just a minute. And I'm talking about this as a pathology now. I'm not talking about this, sir, as an exception that proves the rule. This is now the norm. In UP, you stand in the same frame with Tauqir Raza, a cleric turned politician who spews venom of the worst kind. In Punjab, you pull out of the woodwork a chap called Sidhu Moosewala. What is his claim to fame? Except for endorsing Khalistan, a very sectarian project. I'm asking you, Mr. Tehseen Poonawala, how does that give the Congress today any authority to paint anyone else in the red, so to speak, on this issue of communalism? Rahul Gandhi, the first person he meets on his Bharat Jodo Yatra, the first day, was Father Punyan. Do you know what his history is? Shall I tell you what his views on Hindus is?
All right. May I speak now?
Please.
Because I've barely spoken for a few seconds. Why is it, Rahul, that everywhere that there are riots, the other side of the riots, anywhere in this country, Kerala, Punjab, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Bihar, anywhere that in this country there are riots, the other side of the riots is the BJP and their supporters. Please understand, Rahul, in this country is secular because Hindus are secular, because Mr. Mukherjee is secular, because you are secular because Hindus are secular. But the BJP does not represent Hindus. Everywhere that there are riots, the BJP is involved. Now let me expose the hypocrisy of the BJP, please. Stone pelting, as Anand rightly said, all these fights on Ram Navami have been happening for years. Stone pelting happened in a number of states this year.
Yeah, the BJP was there 300 years ago. The BJP was there 150 years ago. The BJP was there 75 years ago. I'm not going down this route with please. This is just complete banal. No, this is a banal conversation I'm going to have with you, where you generalize by saying everywhere there is communal rioting, the BJP is there. What happened in Kashmir, sir? Where was the BJP there?
BJP.
Where was the BJP in Kashmir? I'm talking about the ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Hindus.
who was in the union government.
Oh, right, there you go. There you go, viewers. I mean, if we are going to go down, okay, Tehseen, look, we are not having a rational debate after a point. I think the two individuals who have really spoken rationally on this panel, Ms. Mukherjee and Dr. Ranganathan, now we can judge by how many no, sir. No, Tehseen, I'm not wasting time. There are important conversations to be had.
I'll keep quiet.
Look,
thank you.
I am not saying, viewers, that the BJP is some angelic party. But that's not the point here tonight. I'm not talking about who lit the first fire. I'm talking about an attitude towards communal harmony and communal strife. And that's the problem. The problem is that we, as a polity, are being absolutely pushed into believing one side is worse than the other, and continually, viewers. It's not about the BJP, it's about a particular group of people, the Hindu community. And I think that is extremely dangerous, that is wrong, and it's going to breed a backlash which no one wants to see, viewers. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about deepening distrust, which is a greater cancer. Think about that. I need to move on.